couldn't tell from my costume, I'm a detective. I do all the thinking around here, and I always find out everything. So don't think you can hide from me. Happy Halloween. Author D.L. Tillery here, the Mistress of Horror. If you didn't read the title of the video, somehow I doubt that, or else you wouldn't even have picked on it. But then again, you saw the Mistress of Horror, and you were like, how could I not look at every single one of her videos? I know this is true, so I'm going to recommend 5 horror games that you can play for Halloween. Because today is awesomeness, because it's Halloween. Like, who doesn't love Halloween? I'm sure there's some people who don't, but I don't need to talk to those people, because who doesn't love Halloween? Alright, so I'm going to recommend these 5 games to you that you could play. It's possible you don't have these. It's very, very possible, because some of them are older, some of them somewhat new. So we'll see what happens. If not, you can always try to get them, or at least look them up. There's also YouTube. You're here already. You can always watch playthroughs of them to get yourself all creeped out for Halloween. You also can watch video games. I know, it's crazy. And before we actually jump into this, I'm going to let you know now that I'm going to be starting to hang out over there on Twitch with my own video game channel. Because, yes, the Mr. Horror plays video games. If you didn't know, you know now. So if you want to come hang out with me over there on Twitch, my channel will be starting up over there on Twitch early 21. But I'll give you the heads up again before that happens. So if you want to come chat with me while I play video games and scare everybody with all the horrorness that's happening, I'll be playing some other stuff too. But yeah, definitely check that out. Alright, now, so let's get down to these recommendations. First one up is Eternal Darkness. Eternal Darkness was a video game that released on the GameCube, the Nintendo GameCube to be exact. They call it a psychological action horror. I just say a cosmic horror, because that's what it is. Psychological is in cosmic horror. It can't be helped. That being said, Eternal Darkness is one of the best cosmic horror video games around. If you didn't know, you know now. It was developed by Silicon Knights and published by Nintendo. It has one of the best gameplay aspects by messing with the player. I didn't see many other video games pull that off. They pulled it off extremely well. They pulled it off very, very well. Some to the point that people got angry. They were really angry. Like, they thought their data was being deleted, all kinds of things. We get upset. Your character's be walking along, and all of a sudden your head explodes, and you think you're like dead, but your character's not dead. So that psychological, definitely messing with your player completely, not just within the game, like trying to come out the game and mess with you. It's really, really awesome. I loved it. And with Eternal Darkness, you kind of have to play through it 3 times. Spoiler alert. That's not giving anything away, but that's just part of the interest of the game. You actually play as Alex Roivez, the female lead of the story. You do play with other characters in the game as it progresses. It's a very interesting way that they tell the story and the way you progress the game. I would definitely say you definitely need to play this game. It is one of the best cosmic horror games around, and there are a few out there. But that'll be another video for you where I talk all about cosmic horror video games, because I love cosmic horror. If you didn't know that, you've been here for a minute, so you probably know that. If not, if you're new here, hey, you know now that I like cosmic horror the best. Okay. Eternal Darkness has creatures in it. As you know, cosmic horror, if you don't know, the creatures in cosmic horror are very unexplainable. They're creepy. They're just tentacly a lot of times. And they mess with your psyche all the time. It's one scene in Eternal Darkness that you will never, ever forget. It can be traumatizing. I'm just going to tell you now, like, it can be traumatizing. Well, it might be traumatizing all the way around, because you're going to remember it forever. Like, forever. And I'm just going to say one person's name, Paul Luther. Paul Luther. If you play Eternal Darkness, you know who that is, and you know what happened to him. But if you play Eternal Darkness and Paul Luther part comes about, just remember I said his name. Just remember I said his name. Number 2 is going to be Haunting Ground. also known as Demento in Japan. You play as the character Fiona. She gets in an accident with her parents, and then she wakes up in a mysterious dungeon-like setting in a cage, in a pretty much in a sheet dress towel type of situation. And then she is, terrorized throughout this mansion, and then the whole story starts to unfold. It's very, very interesting. But she's like stalked through here, chased by everyone you could think of. Then she meets an awesome husky doggy friend. Huey is his name, and he's her best friend. Like literally, without him, bad things would have happened to her for sure. But it's a lot of twists and turns in this story. It's a horror where you don't have like a sword and a gun and stuff like that. So you Huey is one of your protectors. Like so he's kind of like your weapon in that way, and you can have like I think they have defense weapons on here, like defense items you can use. She gets scared and then she might lose her mind and she'll run around. So that type of thing happens. It's a very interesting play, and it's actually connected to the Clock Tower series. So yeah, definitely one of the ones I recommend. One of my favorite games. I have this and Eternal Darkness in my collection, and I didn't actually mention my collection, did I? Actually, I have a video game collection of over 600 games and a variety of consoles. So obviously, I'm a gamer, a console gamer predominantly. I don't really do PC games too often. I have a few of those that I like, Diablo being one of the ones I started way back when. But I play a few ones here and there, but I definitely majorly a console gamer. Number three, the Fatal Frame series. That's right, I didn't pick one on that one because the whole series is important within itself. First off, there are 7 Fatal Frames in the series so far that I am aware of. Started back in 2001 with Fatal Frame and then worked its way up to 2014. I would say start with the first one. So that way you can understand the story, though you can play them standalone. It has different titles depending on where you live. In Japan, it was called Zero. In Europe, Project Zero. Here, Fatal Frame. They got to try to be all catchy here in the US. Yeah. Um, that being said, Fatal Frame, you usually have a female lead character, though you do have male leads as well, and you use a camera as your main source of weaponry, so to speak. You will take pictures of the ghost in the game, because yes, it's paranormal. There are spirits. The ghosts. There are ghosts. It's all about ghosts. But there's a great story to this. It's connected. And one of them, it's one of the other previous characters' daughters, and then there's a story that unfolds that you should definitely learn about. It has a cult following for sure. It's not like everyone loves Fatal Frame, but I definitely like Fatal Frame. I think it's an awesome story. But yeah, so check that one out. It goes through the entire series. Of course, I showed you the clips here of Fatal Frame so you can get a little bit more interest in what it's about. But yeah, I thought the camera touch is one of the best things because not everyone does that. So you have to actually take pictures of the ghosts to hurt them and injure them as they try to attack you as you go throughout the game. It's really dark and creepy for sure. No lie. Number 4. We're finally to number 4. And number 4 is going to be Until Dawn, which is on the PlayStation 4. Players assume the roles of 8 adults that sometimes don't act like adults, but there it is. You have to survive the Blackwood Mountain, more or less. They go off on a trip with their friends. It's 8 of them, and they are going to a set of friends' house. So in the set of friends, there is a brother and 2 sisters, and the 2 sisters are twins. One of them is more popular, the other one not as much. And then the brother, Josh, of the 2 twins, he's pretty popular with everyone. But one of the twins is not popular, so you know how people pick on each other. And then there's also some people that say like, "Oh, we were pranking," because I actually say this in the game, like, "Oh, it's just a prank," blah blah blah. Like, listen, if you would have even pulled anything, you would have been out of my house. Disrespectful, I can say. Like, you literally come to someone's house and disrespect them, like a prank, as you say, or you're being a bully. Let's just say it outright. You're bullying. There are people who like played the game and they were like, "Oh, like they kind of agreed like it was a prank. No, let me explain to you. That's not a prank. That's called bullying. What they did. Okay. So anyway, I digress because I start talking about that game. I'm going to be like, listen. I'm going to tell you right now, my favorite character on that game is Josh. Like, I loved Josh. I think he was my favorite character. Yes. Um, there's another character I like, but I won't really go into that too much. But Josh is my favorite character. I think he got short end of the stick in some cases. But you'll see if you play the game. It's definitely worth playing. It's more of like search around, follow the story, a lot of cinema in it. And definitely horror as thriller style of horror going on that turns quickly into something else. I don't want to give anything away if you haven't played it. You can easily watch it on YouTube if you do not play video games. It's definitely something also good and interesting to watch, even if you don't play video games. But yeah, it's one of the best. One of my favorite parts of the game, the design of this game, is that you can decide who lives and who dies. So if you don't like someone in the game, you can pretty much kill them. I probably shouldn't say that so happily. But I'm just saying, some of them definitely deserved it. Okay? Like, some of them were total complete a-holes, and they deserved it. Like, so, just saying, me playing it, no one's living. No one is living. Not living. If you were bullying someone, you're in a horror movie, I'm probably going to kill you. They gave me the controller and told me, you control this horror movie. And I'm like, all right, then you're a bully. You were bullying someone. Time for karma to come on you tenfold. That's the end of you. So that's one of the good aspects of the game. You can choose live, live, or die. You can try to save everyone. You can kill everyone. You can kill some people. You can save some of them. Whatever. So it's really cool. Check it out for sure. It's definitely a fun play. Number 5. We're at number 5. The last one in this little hurrah. It's going to be a classic Resident Evil, but the remake. Now, you can play the very, very classical version of Resident Evil that came out way back in the day with PlayStation 1, or you can do the remake. I like the remake better because, of course, they redid some of the acting that was just terrible. Um, but yeah, either way, Resident Evil is really good. The first one, remake, is one of my favorite ones in the series. I also like Resident Evil 5 and 6. 4 is questionable for me. When they first brought that out, I was kind of on the fence about it. But it's okay. It's fine. I do not like Resident Evil 7 because I don't really care for first-person games. Especially first-person games that from a series that was never first-person. So that I'm not going to. No. I'm one of the Resident Evil fans that's like, okay, I like this Resident Evil, I like this Resident Evil. Because I play Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Will not play 7. I've watched it all, but it's just not for me. I don't like first person horror games mostly, but some I would actually like. But then there's ones like that this entire series was like it is, third person perspective over the shoulder, whatever, and then they switch it to first person because of let's try to combat with someone else's game that's really popular and selling. So let's switch Resident Evil over to what that is to see if we can try to be like them. And everyone's into that game, so let's change an entire series that has a following, a fan base, to something that it was not. So let's do that. That sounds like a good idea for business. Oh, wait, it doesn't. Anyway, that's my little opinion. But hey, I'm a gamer and I have over 600 games and I game all the time. I spend money on games. So I can say what I want. That's my opinion. So yeah, don't care. So there's that. Most people know about Resident Evil. That Resident Evil that I'm talking about, the Resident Evil remake, is on the Nintendo GameCube originally. I believe they re-released it later on. I believe in a collection set like Resident Evil Remake and Zero together, which I also like Zero. I forgot to mention that in my list of ones I like. There's some side Resident Evils also as well that I like. It's a lot of Resident Evils, just telling you. But they are pretty good, except for I don't like 7, so there's that. But yeah, also there's Code Veronica, of course, too. That came out on the Dreamcast back in the day. But I can go on forever about Resident Evil. So I'm just going to stop now before I start naming all of them and which console they're on and blah, 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 blah. We'll be here forever. Anyway, those are the 5 games I recommend you try for Halloween to have something fun to do today. Besides watching horror movies, eating candy, or trick-or-treating, whatever else you're going to be doing. But yeah, I'm gonna be chilling, eating some candy, some popcorn, and some food, and watching some awesome horror movies. I did recommend 5 horror movies you could watch as well. Go check that video out. I will link that in the description for you if you haven't checked it out yet. It's some good recommendations. I'm just telling you, of course. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. If you like this video, give it a like, and I will see you guys in the next video, which I always put up videos every Saturday. Anyways, I always like to tell all of you, and you must do it today for sure, stay scared.